Hello everybody, my name is Dale and this is Huwdale Photography. This video tutorial is about DaVinci Resolve, which is a fantastic free bit of video editing software that I'm currently using a lot actually, because it's a really great bit of software. I actually am starting to prefer it to Premiere Pro, even though it can't do everything that Premiere Pro can. And I'm recommending it to a lot of people as well. You know, I train people in photography and videography, and I'm recommending this a lot for people who are just starting out. It is absolutely fantastic. So let's open it up and have a look. We're going to do a quick video editing session. Really not that much, just a quick video that you'll be able to find on one of my other channels that is for a social enterprise that I work with. And basically, I'm just going to show you how to bring in video. It is like an editing for beginners, really. If you know, hopefully, if you've never edited before, this will be your way into it. So when we open Resolve, we get this project manager, which is a great sort of minimalist scene. We're going to create a new project down here, and I'm just going to call this AD Tut. And you can see the name here has now changed, and I can double click this and it'll open up the main part of the software. And this is great. It's been laid out really nicely. We have these 4 sections that we can work in. This first one is the media section, where we bring in our media clips that we'll use later. The second section is editing section. That's also really well laid out. We have a color correction section. Wow, try saying that 10 times faster. Which is really cool actually, and really advanced actually. You can do a lot with it. And finally, the deliver section, where we can render our video and get it out to everyone. So let's head back to the media one very quickly. And basically, I've just put all my media that I'm going to need for this video into one folder, and I'm going to grab it all. You know, you can drag and over it, or like I do, you can click the first one, hold shift and click the last one. And then we're going to click and hold, drag it over and drop it in. We are going to change that. That's fine. Don't worry too much about that. And now all our video media, audio and our stills are in, ready to go. You can of course use this section up here where you can go into the various different areas of your computer by clicking on the CD or whatever drive you use. I keep all mine on the same drive. It makes things a lot easier. And you can navigate normally to that section, and mine appears to have crashed for the moment, so we'll just wait that out a second and see if that can catch up with us. Yep, there we are. And you can see all my video there, you know, all the different things I've done. Now that we've got our media in, though, I'm just going to jump straight in to the editing section. First of all, I'm just going to show you can just drag and drop various clips in. There we are. So that's our starting clip. And you can see there it's already appeared, 1 on the timeline and 2 in the preview section. So we have 2 preview sections here. The one on the right shows you what's happening down here in the timeline. The one on the left can help you to preview videos up here. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Just to show you how to use this timeline quickly, you can drag and drop clips anywhere on it. It will of course play from left to right, so if you put one really far in like I have there, it's obviously not going to appear until much later on. The red line symbolizes where you are in that clip at that moment in time, so you can drag that around, and if you see I drag it onto there, it will clip up to the beginning or the end of that clip. And I can drag it through. We have 2 main sections even in the timeline actually. We have the video section and the audio section, and they both work pretty much the same way. There's a couple of extra things with audio. And as for clips, well, this clip is actually a still. So if I zoom in now using the slider here, or the buttons, you can see how I can now, when I hover over the edges, I can actually lengthen the clip. And this is really useful. And I can do this from both sides. And this will become really useful to us. So I'm just going to leave that there for the minute. What we want to do is we want to create a quick opening section, and I'm just going to grab a couple of short moments out of the clips I've already got. So double clicking on one of the clips will bring it up in the preview section, and I can now preview it without it being in my timeline. And I'm just going to find a moment in this clip that would be great, just a couple of seconds worth, and I think, yeah, that'll about do it. And to get that moment out of it, I'm going to click this button here that looks like a skip forward button, which is actually the mark in button. And then I'm going to let it play forward the bit I want. There we go, that's absolutely fine. And I'm going to click the next one, which is a mark out. And finally, I'm going to go back to this section, and I'm just going to drag it in. And now what I've dragged in will just be that section. Let's have a quick look. There we are, perfect. Let's pull this over. I'm going to zoom in. It's helpful to actually zoom in on your timeline when you're working with small, quick sections, because you can see a lot more what's going on here. So we're going to start off with this clip, I'm going to grab another one as well. Let's have a look here. We've got AD working on his own here. Yeah, that's fantastic. Let's grab that. Mark in, mark out, drag it into the section. That's a bit longer than I wanted, so I'm just going to drag the end of that, and can you see, because it went to the end of this one, it now elongates this one as well. We don't actually want that, so I'm just going to click and drag that away, so I can now just edit that one on its own. I'm going to pull it in so it matches right against the side of the other one. Let's have a quick look at that a second, shall we? That's fantastic. So what we'll have here now is one final clip, I think. Let's grab something from the main interview. Yeah, I think just a bit of Adie's hands working on that there. That'll do. That's all we need. Dragging in again. Oh, that one I got a bit better, a bit closer to what we actually wanted. Let's drag this out of the way. I'm just going to... I think that's about right. So the next thing, I'm going to put audio over this section, but first of all, we don't want the audio from the video to show up because we just want a bit of music just for an opening sequence. So what I'm going to do is down in these audio sections here, you can see we've got a bit of a waveform down here for each one. And you'll also notice halfway through the box is actually a line just going through. Now this is the volume line, and we can just click on this and drag it right down for all of these video clips, and now we've got absolutely no audio. Let's go back, play that through. Fantastic, no more audio. That's great. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in my music. Now, I mentioned earlier about a flaw with DaVinci Resolve, and that's the fact that you can't use MP3 files, and I don't know why that is, but sadly you can only use WAV files. Now, that's a bit annoying, it's a bit strange, but there is a way around it. There's a free bit of software called Audacity that you can download from the internet, and you can just literally drag and drop your MP3 into Audacity and then save it as a WAV file. It literally takes seconds, but it is annoying that you do have to use another bit of software when they could have just included the ability to use MP3s. I don't know if that's included with the paid-for version, but considering the price of the paid-for version, I'm not going to be doing a video on that anytime soon. Sorry about that, guys. So I've already done that, and I might just another bit of information. This clip I'm about to use actually came from the YouTube archives. Now, if you have a YouTube channel and you go into the video manager, you can actually access loads of fantastic music that is royalty free. You can use it for free in your video clips. A lot of them you don't even have to credit anyone, though do make sure, because there is a lot on there that is under the Creative Commons, and you do have to credit the person who wrote the music somewhere, either on the video or in the description. It will say there and then in YouTube, but it's a fantastic resource. I can't recommend it more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click this, and let's have a little listen to that a second. It's just a bit of a guitar track. Now you'll notice, I'm going to stop this now. We've got two sections here, well three if you look at it a different way. We've got the main one at the top where we can drag and just scrobble through from one side of the audio track to the other, and then a bit of a zoomed in one. And this just allows us to see the waveform really nicely. And actually, I think the opening of this track is just a little bit too muted. I want something a bit more interesting. And I'm pretty sure if I scrobble on a bit, I have listened to this earlier, we get something that's a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I like that. This is actually, I think this is actually quite a commonly used piece of music on YouTube, because it is just really nice for openings and background music. Now, just a bit of music theory here. You can see it sort of builds up and up and up and gets louder towards the end, and it's in these few sections. And I actually want to use this section here, and I want to sort of just pull into it quite nicely. And you can see here, as we zoom in, there is quite a spike all of a sudden that drops up above everything else. Moves up above everything else. I'm going to use that as my starting area. So just like with the video clip before, I'm going to mark in there. I'm not going to bother to mark out. You'll see why in a second. And then that should bring us in right there and then. Now, when you drag a clip in, sometimes it will move you around in the timeline. Don't worry about that. Just scroll back. I just want to get a little bit closer to the beginning of that first sort of moment there. No, I've messed that up now. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer up here. Can I do that? Yeah, that's a bit better. Mark in from there and drag that right in. There we are, lovely. And again, scrobbling back. And now I'm going to add some transitions in. And basically for the video, I'm just going to use a really simple cross resolve. So this is our video transitions. This is going to fade and blend the video clips into each other. And I'm going to click this, and I'm going to drag it over. And you'll notice we've got like this window shape over the two clips. And if I play now, you'll see they faded really nicely into each other. That's really cool. Similarly, I'm going to use a similar one called crossfade on the audio, so that just comes in a bit nicer rather than just jumping in. And I'm going to add one final cross dissolve onto the top audio video clip at the beginning so that it just fades in a bit nicer. Let's have a look at that now. Yeah, that's great. What I am going to do is I'm going to make these clips a little bit longer. I think that section goes by a little too fast. So I'm just going to grab the end of them and drag it along. And now you see these ones, I can just drag this anywhere I like. You see, that's really cool. I'm going to do it with this one as well. Drag it into the middle. I'm going to try and make these 3 sections, you know, fairly the same sort of size. And you can use the lines along across the top to give you an idea of where to go, but I tend to just judge it or listen to the music as well. Sometimes it's really great if it goes along with the music. So let's have a look at that. It's not really going with the music, but that'll do for me. I'm going to bring my still back in there and just butt it up against that one and add the cross dissolve in over the top of that. And I'm just going to see how long that plays for. I don't want that to be too long. That'll do just nicely. I might just shorten that down a bit. And there we are. There's our opening section. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the first little bit of an interview with him where he just explains who he is. And so I'm going to double click on that up here and let's have a little look at that a second. Okay, first of all, there's a little bit of me talking at the beginning there, so we'll just stop that there and clip that out. I'm going to zoom on a bit because I know everything's all right in the middle. And I'm just going to mark out as soon as he stops talking. There we are. Perfect. Because I know I talk again at the end of that clip, and we definitely don't want me in there. And just like before, I'm going to drag and drop that over what we've got and paste it there. There we are. Scrobbling back to that area again at the beginning where that transition happens and putting in a cross dissolve so we get a really nice transition between the two. Now, the problem we're going to find here is we've got really loud music in the background and quite a quiet clip. So first of all, I'm going to drag the volume side on that clip right up so that we can actually hear him a lot better. And next, I'm going to do something really interesting. I'm going to do a thing called what I call keyframing. I'm not actually sure what it's called in Resolve, but in other things it's called keyframing. So I'm going to put my red line here just at the beginning of that transition period. And then I'm going to click Inspector in the top right corner here. And then finally, I'm going to highlight the audio. And what you can see now is that we have the volume slider for the audio. And this will affect just this track here. But next to it, we have this little diamond button. And I'm going to click that right there. And what that's going to do is going to put a point on the timeline where the audio has to be that level. I'm then going to move my red line over to the end of the transition. And now I'm going to change the volume. And what you'll see happen is that we'll create a little bit of fade out. The volume will just slowly get quieter. Well, actually, it'll probably do it quite fast in that point. So let's have a listen to that really quickly.
Hey, so I'm a student.
Fantastic, and now we can hear him over the audio without having to stop the audio. It still continues in the background, which for short clips is really great. This is only a 30-second long clip. In fact, I think it's not even that, where he talks. And to be honest, I'll just keep the audio going in the background because it just makes the mood of the video that bit more brighter. Finally, I'm just going to go back up here and I'm going to add a crossfade onto the audio above that so that this audio track comes in nicely as well. Now I could have done it with keyframing, but there's really no need. I'll just do it with a quick crossfade, and you'll see that I'll automatically, because I've put that on the audio for this video now, it'll automatically link into the crossfade on the video track itself. Let's watch that through.
So I'm a student in Cardiff University. I'm studying ceramics.
That's fine. That's perfect. Let's go to the end of this clip now, and I think what we'll do is after the end of this clip, we will just go straight into the main interview video. So I'm going to double click that. Now we pulled something from this earlier, so we've already got markings in it, but instead I'm going to go right to the beginning and I'm just going to watch the beginning quickly. So we got a bit of camera shake there where I was, you know, as I said before, I was unprepared for this video a bit. I didn't have the right equipment with me on that day, unfortunately, because I wasn't expecting to be videoing, to be fair. I'm just going to clip out that bit where I shake it. We don't really need to hear her ask the question, as long as we have got a nice bit in between them talking where we can start. There we are. Then I'll start my clip there, and let's go see what the ending's like, because I'm pretty sure everything in between there is absolutely fine. That'll do, I'll clip that there. And I'm just, as before, going to drag that in. Now I'm going to go back to that transition period there at the beginning of the main clip. So you can see it's quite a long clip. I'm going to add in my crossfade over these two sections to the video. So I'm going to add a audio crossfade over these two. I've actually added that in the wrong place. I do apologize. Over these two, so the audio moves in from one to the other. I'm going to add a cross dissolve, so the video moves in from one to the other. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to fade out now the audio, the main track in the background, because we don't want that to continue over the long clip. But I'm going to do it a bit slowly now. So I'm going to go back and put my clip just in the middle of that crossfade, open up Inspector again, and select my audio, and just create a keyframe there at the beginning of that. Move right along deep into the clip, and now I'm just going to pull the audio right down. There we go. You can see now I've not pulled the volume right to the bottom because you can see I didn't need to. It's already gone. Just there. There we go. We've lost it. Let's have a quick play of that and see how that goes. There we are. That's fantastic. Now the other thing you'll notice there is that the audio on this clip is quite quiet as well. So I'm just going to drag that up as well. Let's try that again.
And that's basically why I'm here today. It starts off pretty well.
That's fantastic. So we don't need to watch that the whole way through just now. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go right to the end now. And I'm literally just going to finish off my video with a couple of title plates. We'll pop them in there. I'm going to zoom out a bit using a slider here. My title plate as well with my details on, and the Craft of Hearts one. And just to finish off the video, I'm also going to add in the last bit of the audio. So I'm going to double click this again. And I'm actually going to mark in the end here and just grab those last few seconds and line them up with the end in the timeline. I'm going to pull this over the audio a bit. And going back to the inspector once again, just another keyframe in this audio. We can see, obviously, we don't want it to come in suddenly, music, all of a sudden. We want it to fade in quite slowly. So I'm going to keyframe at the beginning of that audio there and pull that right down so it's quiet. And then I'm going to keyframe over here where it fades over with a new one, and I'm going to pull that up so we get this nice fade in of the music. I'm just going to double click in there and set that back to 0. There we are, lovely. And I'm also, of course, going to add in my crossfade at the end of the audio on the video clip and a couple of dissolves in between these. Now, you can use any transitions you like. Honestly, you don't have to use a dissolve just because I do. I'm just a bit traditionalist. I like it to look very just fade into each other. I don't like all the special effects. I personally don't think they look great unless they're really awesome effects. So I just use the basic ones. So let's have a look at that now. There we are, that's perfect. What a great ending. So there's a few more things I would normally do to this. You know, I probably wouldn't have gone straight from one clip to the other. I would have gone back and done this sort of trio of clips in between them with a bit of music again, just to create a sort of transition from one part to the next. But for the moment, that'll do. So we've learned how to trim our clips, drag them into the timeline, place them in the timeline. We've also learned that we can change the video audio, we can make the video audio quieter or louder. We've also learned we can bring in our own audio tracks to go over and behind things, and we can actually make the volume of those tracks change at particular times, which is really, really useful. So I'm going to move on now. We're going to go to the color section, and I'm only going to really just have a quick look at this area because it's quite advanced, and we're just going to look at the basic sort of things. So here we are. We've got a bit of the clip here, and I'm just going to have a look through it, and I've just noticed right away the top of his shoulder is really bright here. So we're going to deal with that in just a second. I'm just going to show you this really quickly. We have lots of different controls here that look really quite involved, and we're not going to use most of them. I'm just going to show you the basic ones. So we've got lift, gamma, gain, and offset here, and really they're all just to do with brightness. And the best way to see what they do is just experiment with them. But to be honest, I would just use these sliders here. They don't look like sliders, but I promise you they are. And the ones I use more than anything are the gain, which hits the brightest areas of the video. And you'll notice here, if I grab that and just pull it to the left and put it down, the top of his shoulder just goes from being blown out to having a bit of detail there, which is really, really useful. The lift will do the opposite. It will hit the darker areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull that up a bit, and that will brighten just the darkest areas of the video. Sorry, I keep calling it a photograph. Gamma and offset do similar things in similar ways. The next thing I'll just show you quickly is the curves. Now, curves I use in photography quite a lot, and if you watch my Lightroom or Raw Therapy videos, you'll have seen me use curves, and I talk about them a lot. And they're just as useful in video. So, just like I would on a photograph, I'm actually going to add a bit of an S-curve in by clicking and dragging 2 points to pull it up at the top and down a bit at the bottom, and that creates this really sort of smooth S-curve. Something I wouldn't usually do on photographs unless I was trying to go for a retro look, I'm going to do here, which is I'm actually going to grab the leftmost point and just drag that up a little bit. And that just means that the blacks aren't totally black, and the reason I'm doing that is just to soften the video in this case. I don't want it to be a really hard, punchy video, I want it to be a bit softer. And that's all I'm really going to do with this. You know, you can obviously use the gamma and the lift to brighten a piece of video that is a little bit too dark. You know, maybe actually this one is just a bit darker than the others, so let's have a quick look at that a second. So I can just show you here how using the gamma, pulling it to the right a bit, pulling the lift to the right, it's just brightening that video. And again, I'm going to pull down because we've got some highlights there that aren't that great. And now it's looking a bit flat, so I'm just going to add in a bit of an S-curve. Oh, that was a bit too much there. There we are, that's better. And now it's a brighter video than it was before, but it's also not too much. I might just add a bit more lift to that and just take the gain down a bit more so that we don't lose those highlighted sections. There's so much more you can do in this section. There's actually some awesome things, such as green screening and adding vignette filters and all sorts of stuff. We're not going to look at that right now. I'm just going to go on to the end here. Look at deliver. The deliver section is basically we'll just pull this in together and save it as a final video file. And what I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to show you how that's actually made really easy by DaVinci Resolve. For YouTube and Vimeo, all you have to do is click the relevant icon. That's really it. And just if you want to make it 1080p, you can just click the arrow next to it. Click 1080p. Now it's a high definition video. Obviously, it's not really worth doing that if you haven't shot in 1080p. If you've filmed in 720p, then render it in 720p. The video section then, the QuickTime formatting, all of that, it'll just be sorted out, ready for YouTube. They have the best settings there already, and I can guarantee, you know, I've used them myself, and to be honest, they are actually perfect. You don't need to do much more than that. The only other thing I'd say is click on the file section and just give your video a name. So in custom name, I'm going to write AD Tuts. And that's about it, really. That's all we really need to know. We'll just after that make sure it says entire timeline, add to render queue, and start render. And you can see there it's going to save it to users and my videos. And that's really it for DaVinci Resolve. This has been a bit of a crash course in DaVinci Resolve, to be honest. And I will come back and show some more interesting parts of the software at some point. You know, we've done a really short video here. But I really can't recommend it more. It is a shame about the audio file thing. But I just can't recommend this piece of software more. For a free piece of software, it's awesome the amount of control over your videos you have. You just wouldn't, you know, this is just what a lot of people need, basic video editing. Just it's a few basic features. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Go off and use it. If you have any questions, comment on the video. I'll do my best to reply to them, but I can't always see all of them or get to them straight away, so do be patient. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. And I will see you next time. So happy video editing. Bye everyone.